Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the weekly comic book roundup. We've already gotten about halfway through this week's roundup last night, so let's keep on going. Kicking these off, we've got Groot, number 3. Where we left off, Marvel, as well as Twig and Gleef, had been captured by the leader of the spoilers, Ags, who is revealed to, in fact, be a Flora Colossus. However, he appears to be a sickly Flora Colossus. But he's wanting the command Star Force command codes. Basically, so that the spoilers can as Agus puts it, asset strip the Kree Empire. Groot, meanwhile, has managed to escape the Deadwoods and runs into Yandara. Yandara tells him of her history, that she left her home just and came upon spoilers. Didn't think to say anything to anyone, and when she returned home to the Centauri colony she's from, it had been destroyed. If she had said something, perhaps if she'd let her people know that, hey, the spoilers are a thing, and well, perhaps the world wouldn't have been ravaged. Groot forms a plan and tells Yandara. Meanwhile, Marvel has managed to free himself, noting that that while Ags is a Flora Colossus, he's clearly diseased. Groot takes Yandar, to Granapi, the matriarch of the Great Forests on Planet X, and asks for the tree's help. Groot leads an basically gets an impassioned, is able to get the rest of the trees to stand against Ags. In the Deadwood, Marvel realizes that Ags is kidnapping and devouring other Flora Colossi in order to stay alive due to the sickness that has afflicted him. That is where the issue ends, with the entirety of Planet X shouting, "I am Groot." I'm digging this series. It's a fun little book. Next issue will be the finale. Obviously, Marvel will live because, well, this is early in Marvel's career, so yeah. Moving on, though, to our next book, we have Fallen Friend, The Death of Miss Marvel. So, back in Amazing Spider-Man number 26, Miss Marvel sacrificed herself to save Mary Jane. So, some things that should be noted. Miss Marvel kept the secret of her... Kamala Khan kept the secret of her identities very close to the vest. I think maybe some of her friends were aware that she was Miss Marvel, and very, very few of the superhero community was aware that Miss Marvel was younger than Kamala Khan. As far as I know, most of the champions didn't even know. Well, I don't think that's actually true. Champions did know. But the story is split up into 3 different chapters. First is Kamala dealing with her friends grieving. The mosque is holding a service for all that were lost that day, as apparently Kamala is still listed as missing officially. Wolverine shows up, as does Red Dagger and Captain Marvel. Then there's the champions reminisce about Kamala, and Viv asks why there's such a focus on the good times as opposed to the bad times. But this is going on during a greater service that is more for the superhero community. Amadeus basically goads Viv Vision into activating her, turning her emotions back on, and this leads to Viv leaving to grieve on her own, and the rest of the champions do make a point to say, "Hey, man, that wasn't right." And this portion of the story ends with Viv grieving for Kamala and then turning her emotions back off. Next, we have Chapter 3, Avenger, and while it does appear to be all Avengers at the service, and this isn't a service just for the superhero community. They're joining the overall service. But Iron Man helps with prayer readings. He also talks to Doctor Strange, stating he's tempted to ask for anything Strange can do, and Strange gives a whole speech about how he can't, and how being a sorcerer isn't. Most people think that being a sorcerer is like being a god, but it's more like being a plumber in an old-time cartoon. You plug the leaky sink, but the leak pops out of the bathtub. You plug the leak in the bathtub, but it pops out of the floor. You plug the leak in the floor, but it pops out of your ears. But after Strange says this whole piece, Tony quote, "Hey, I just said I was tempted," but Strange says the speech wasn't for Tony. Cap shows up, has some words to say, but there's a noise from outside interrupts the service. Pile driver from the wrecking crew is trying to rip off a non-profit clinic, steal the pharmaceuticals they've got. But yeah, you don't interrupt a superhero funeral. There's potentially a superhero funeral going on. You're a supervillain, just like be on another planet, because yeah, you don't know where it's going to be, and well, you could end up trying to roll a place. But and the issue ends with Peter Parker swinging to the service and introducing himself to Kamala's family. That is where the issue ends. Now, it should be noted that this past week, Marvel announced a new Miss Marvel book coming soon that would return. That was part of bringing back Kamala Khan. That book is called Kamala Khan, the New Mutant. The Disney Plus series, after all, made her a mutant, and Kamala Khan's creator, in fact, even said that the intention was for her to be a mutant, but due to the fact that Marvel Studios did not own the film rights to the X-Men at the time, they said, yeah, you can't make her a mutant, but make her a human maybe? We got the rights to them. And so Miss Marvel became an Inhuman. I'll also note with this book is that the co-writer is the young actress who portrays Kamala Khan in the Disney Plus series, who who seems to know a thing or three about Marvel Comics. So it should be a good book. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Loki #2. Where we left off, the ancient ship made of fingernails and shite. The ship that Loki made out of the fingernails of the dead has been stolen by some of the frost giants. But it crashed into the world tree and broke apart. One of the pieces, the masthead, landed in Nidavellir, and, well, one of the dwarves was forged a battle axe out of it. While Loki is taken prisoner, when he tries to retrieve it. The dwarf in question, his son, comes to him saying, "Hey, so here's what's going on." The Ironskin clan are using dragon spine and crafting a mighty spear imbued with salamander blood and hellfire. All because of this axe. The Oak Soul clan have sourced grim statuary from the catacombs below Darkhold Castle and are carving a stone sword of some terrible qualities. But he tries to get the axe from his father and to deal with the enemies himself. So yeah, he's like, "Nah, we're good." But the son of the dwarf in question has taken Loki's crown and molded it into a bow. And so when the enemy forces arrive, he stands at on the ramparts. Father goes to engage, and the son draws back the bow. Before he can let it loose, the arrow of mischievous energy explodes, killing the dwarf. Loki frees herself. And takes the axe, attaching it to the ship, and then, well, there are 2 more pieces of the ship to find. Loki's going to go after the one in Midgard next, which is apparently in the hands of a man in New York, referred to as Muck Mulligan. Doesn't like shower. But he also to sell. Decides to try and sell this item to the owl. But yeah, the owl looks on it and, well, doesn't want it. But Muck Mulligan figures he can find someone he can definitely find a buyer for it, though. That is where the issue ends. It's a fun little mini-series so far. I do like the idea of Loki being, well, Loki. You get kind of the... I like the idea of Loki basically kind of getting to see Loki clean up one of his own messes rather than say going to his brother and say, I may have screwed up. Think you can help? And by help, I mean, clean it up for me. So yeah. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Warlock Rebirth, number 4. Where we left off, Adam Warlock went to confront Eve Warlock after getting a pep talk from Doctor Strange. And while the two of them fought, they vanished. The issue begins in Greenwich Village. Spider-Man and Daredevil are hanging out. Spider-Man got a sandwich at a bodega that always hooks him up. And he offers out of it to Daredevil. Mayo and mustard is something that Daredevil can get behind sandwich-wise. Something's going down at the Sanctum, but Spider-Man figures that, whatever. Daredevil says he always assumes Doctor Strange can handle whatever it is unless he calls for help. And so, and Spider-Man agrees and even asks if Daredevil wants to go get some coffee. He has a great, after all, Spidey has a great diner. But Pip the Troll recounts to Strange, Gamora, and Genus Vell what happened in the last issue. And Adam and Eve have ended up on Soul World. They continue their fight. Eve takes the karmic staff and once again bests Warlock, crucifying him. And 3 days later, Gamora and Pip find Warlock and cut him down, but what to say? I've been replaced. It's all there is to it, and this time he gets a pep talk from Gamora. And once again, Warlock goes after Eve. They fight it out. She blasts with the Soul Gem, and he absorbs the energy of the Soul Gem and turns them back on Eve, defeating her. Retakes the Karmic Staff as well as the Soul Gem. However, the High Evolutionary shoots him in the back, stating that the High Evolutionary is... It should never be said that the High Evolutionary is unwilling to simply start over. That is where the issue ends. I'm digging this book too. It's this book is in large part a big nostalgia trip for me. Just because it's very much 90s cosmic Marvel. There's some good stuff in there. I didn't get as much into it as I would have liked to, but yeah, there's some neat stuff and all that. Moving on though to our last book for the moment, we have What If Dark, Loki, written by the legendary Walter Simonson. So this particular What If spins out of alters the events from Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's Thor number 153. Loki, with some enchantments of the Norns, steals Mjolnir, goes to New York. Mjolnir turns into a walking stick, and Sif and Donald Blake arrive on Midgard, and Donald Blake is promptly run through by his own walking stick. Loki then also kills Sif, who destroys the home of the Norns, noting that Carnella, the Norn Queen, is trying to see about utilizing the enchantments she shared with Loki for her own uses. And then Loki makes an arrow of mistletoe, uses it to kill Balder. Frees the Fenris Wolf, makes him copies of himself to gather his allies. Jotunheim, Hela, Midgard Serpent, Surtur. The hammer is then used upon to knock out Heimdall as Asgard's enemies storm the Rainbow Bridge. When Odin learns what's happening, he attacks, but Fenris gets the better of him, eventually killing the Allfather. But Surtur states that, well, time has come for him to light his sword with the fire of the gods and destroy everything. Which Surtur does. And when the cycle comes around again, well, like I said, the cycle comes along again as it does throughout Norse mythology. Ragnarok happens and things just start back over. Apparently, though, this particular book released on the 40th anniversary, to the day no less, of the beginning of Walter Simonson's legendary Thor run. The first issue, which was Thor number 337, which introduced Beta Ray Bill. But yeah, that I try to make it clear. I love Elseworlds what if type stuff, and there's a decent chunk of these. There's a bunch of what if dark one shots coming out this year. I think the next one's supposed to come out is involves the death of Gwen Stacy, but instead of Gwen Stacy dying on Earth 616, Spider-Man dies. Anyway, huge shout out to Patreon patron Xander Lee. Thank you so much for your support. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found and Mastodon can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.